welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Beverly. It's so nice to see you today. I'm really excited because today I'm doing my first collab video. The lovely Miss Kelliebean, she messaged me on Twitter and wanted to do a collab with me, and she's one of my favourite YouTubers, so I'll leave a link to her channel down below and the video as well once her video is up and live. So I'm really excited because, yeah, she and I became friends, started talking about things that have been in our videos, and she actually started talking about the fact that she'd seen ghosts, seen spirits, and so have I. And so we kind of connected on that level. Now obviously if you're on my channel a lot, then you'll know that I'm training to be a psychic or a medium or whatever you want to call it. And it's hard to learn how to do it. I mean, I get very nervous about it because I've always been terrified of spirit. They've always been around me my whole life, and I've always been really scared. But I've come to peace with the fact that they're around me now, and I kind of want to help other people get in touch with their family and stuff. And so when she got in touch with me to talk about something, do a collaboration, I was like, we need to talk about our interaction with spirit, because I think it's important that people realise that everybody has this ability. We just need to learn how to do it in a safe way. But a lot of these stories come from, well, the first couple of my stories come from before I was even sick, when I was a nurse. Believe it or not, I was a nurse before I got sick. I trained in Birmingham and I loved it. I loved being a nurse. But I think one of the things that really got to me the most was laying people out. Now this is the nice way of putting it, laying someone out. But what you're actually doing is when somebody passes away, you strip them and you wash them so they're nice and clean. You wrap them in a clean shroud and you put the toe tag on them, and then you send them down to the morgue. And it took me a long time to become comfortable doing that. You always did it in twos, you never did it on your own, because it's such an emotional thing. You've been looking after a patient for a while, they pass away, and it's very difficult to then say goodbye to that patient. But I always remember that I could tell when their soul had left them. Now, science is catching up with this, because science recently has discovered that consciousness does go on after death. I will try and find the study actually, but I've been reading up about it a lot recently because it's really interesting that science is kind of catching up with some things that a lot of us already know. But somebody would die and they would look like themselves, and you'd lay them out. We'd always open a window because nurses are very superstitious, and it was always superstitious that if you didn't open the window, their soul will get trapped in the hospital. So you'd leave the window open so their soul could leave. And it's just something that is taught down the generation. It's something from way back. I don't know when it started, who started it, but nurses have always done it. And I always thought it was really nice. Open the window so the soul can leave. You'd be in the middle of laying somebody out, and suddenly you'd rolled them over to wash their back, and then you'd roll them back, and you'd look at their face, and suddenly their face would look completely different, like a mannequin, like a waxwork. The pallor would change, and the facial structure in a strange way would kind of change, and they'd all say, oh, they've gone. Like, they've gone now. Did you hear my dog jump down then? Anyway, so you'd always be able to see when that person's soul had moved on. And I think it's so lovely to think about that if you die in hospital, the nurses are going to look after you and make sure that you're okay, and they're going to, I mean, we'd be washing people who had passed away, who were dead, clinically dead. The scientist in us had said, yes, they've gone. and you'd be washing them, but you'd still talk to them. You'd still say, oh, I'm just going to lift your arm and start washing your arm, or I'm just going to clean your face. It was really nice, and I quite not enjoyed it, but I got a lot of satisfaction from helping people that way. I really liked taking care of somebody and sending them off on their last journey, and it was quite inspiring. Difficult but inspiring, I would say. So in the hospital was when I had one of my major moments with spirit, and this has a special name. I will look it up because I'm not sure what it is, but basically the way the ward that I worked on at the time was set out, the actual ward was like down here, and then you come through double doors, and then there was the kitchen, there was a little side room where people who were really sick would go, but most of the time we just kept like slings and equipment and stuff in there and shut the door and kind of hoped nothing fell on you when you came out. And then down here was like, you know, like, what's the word I'm looking for, like the nurses area. So I was walking down to the nurses area, and I walked past the side room, and the door was open. There was a woman standing by the window, and it was all set up with a nice bed in there, and the light was streaming in. And I looked at her and I thought, no one's told me someone's come into that room, because that day that room was like, it would have been on my list, and I was like, well, no one's handed over to me. So I got whatever I was getting and walked past, didn't look in again, I just walked past and went on to the ward, and I was like, who's in the side room, because no one's told me what's going on. And they were all just like, there is nobody in the side room. And so I like rushed back through the double doors. I went and looked, and it was just full of equipment, and it was really dark in there again. The door was shut, and I was like, what just happened? And I remember just being terrified every time I went through those double doors. Like, I just didn't want to see a spirit. I was so frightened. But I remember being like, the whole room had changed. I didn't just see somebody standing there, which is what I thought you would see when you saw a ghost. But the whole room had changed. It was as if it was a bright sunny day. The bed was in a different place. It was just completely different. When I think logically back to it, like, they couldn't have moved somebody into that room and moved everything around without telling me or without me being aware of it. And so when I think back, I'm just like, why on earth did it not freak me out at the time? I think it just seemed so normal that I'd be walking past and there'd be somebody in the side room. But I think back now and I'm just like, wow, how did I not have a breakdown? Because I was so petrified with spirit back then. I was really scared. I much prefer how I am now. And coming to peace with having skills like this is very difficult sometimes. I only started getting into being a medium 8 months, a year ago, something like that. So I'm not really used to it. I'm still learning and honing my skills. I'm still getting to that point where I feel better about it all. But I definitely feel like sometimes you just need to give in to that. And that happened to me when we lost my granddad. He passed away. A meditation to be able to visit with family members who passed away. And I remember just being like, I'm going to do this because I really miss my granddad. It was only 20 minutes long, so I was like, yeah, nothing's going to happen. This is weird. And I lay down on the bed. My husband was in the other room playing guitar. And I just kind of laid down and just listened to the meditation. And during the meditation, I felt like I went to heaven. I was with my granddad, who was on a farm that was just wheat fields as far as the eye could see. And up the back on the rolling hills, he had cattle. And he had a little cottage, and he was holding a baby with him. And he was just, he looked younger, fitter, well. I can't remember exactly what we talked about, but I remember just feeling afterwards just like, oh my god, I went and saw my granddad, that's so cool. Hold on a minute though, did I just fall asleep? Like, what? Did I dream that? And it felt like I'd been gone for hours. It really did. It felt like I'd been gone a couple of hours. And when I when I got up and went to speak to my husband, he was like, no, you've only been asleep for, not asleep, you've only been meditating for about 15 minutes. And I kind of brushed it away like, oh, it was just my imagination, it was nothing. Then I went to see a medium myself to go and speak to my granddad, and one of the first things she said to me was, you had a dream or a meditation where you went to heaven? Yeah, that really happened. And the only person I'd told was my husband. Neither of us had posted it online or told people. There's no way she could have known that I'd had that moment with my granddad. And it really confirmed to me, like, this is bigger than you. This is something that you can't ignore for the rest of your life. And so I started to come to terms with things. She in fact told me, you should be doing this. My spirit guide's giving me lots of books to give you and saying, you need to go and study, you need to go and do this. And she's the one who put me in touch with Linda, who teaches me my classes on meditation and my classes on how to read tarot and things like that. And I will leave a link to her website down below as well. And it was just amazing to me that my granddad passing away and meeting that medium is the way that I was introduced to this whole new world. I'm not going to sing. So I was introduced to this whole, and it feels a bit like the universe has just opened up in front of me, and I'm like, whoa, there's a lot more to life than I thought. But of course, since I've started training and doing everything that I need to do to practice, more things have been happening at home. And I'm going to give you two examples of this. So one is, me and my husband were in bed watching television and we heard a big bang. And I was like, what was that? Is somebody breaking in? Like, we were really frightened. So he came downstairs and checked everywhere, all the doors and windows were shut and everything was fine. He put the alarm back on, said, don't know what it was, must have been something outside. The next morning, I was doing yoga and we found his brother Paul's picture. Now, Paul passed away just before my husband and I got married, so about 10 years ago. And his picture had fallen straight down the wall. But it was one of those where the nail has got like a bit on the end. Do you know what I'm talking about? Probably not. And the picture kind of sat in that little groove. So there's no way it could have just fallen. It would have had to have picked up, like you have to pick it up to take it off. And also it was down the back of a plant pot. And if it would have fallen off the wall, it would have hit the plant pot and smashed. But it wasn't. It was just perfectly fine on the floor, as if somebody had picked it up and dropped it. It really freaked us out. But I was like, well, that's Paul saying hello. Please don't do that again, Paul. You frightened us. But I remember just being really blown away by that. And then the last thing I'm going to tell you about is something that I've been telling my husband off about a lot. We'll be in bed watching TV and he'll say, I'm going to go and get a drink. He'll turn the alarm off and he will go downstairs without putting the landing light on and without putting the light on downstairs. And he'll just walk through the house in the dark, get a drink and come back upstairs in the dark. And I would say, you're going to fall down those stairs one of these days. Typical wife worrying about their husband. And I don't know, I always worried about him, but he never really listened. And then one of these days I was like, oh my goodness, if you won't listen to me, I hope you'll listen to somebody else. I'm going to tell your mum. It's always the thing I say. I'm going to tell your mum. I'm going to tell your mother on you because you're being naughty. So he was thirsty, he went down the stairs in the dark again, back through, made himself a drink, and then came back through and was going up the stairs. And he was about halfway up the stairs when the landing light came on to light his way. The switch didn't click, so usually you press the light switch and it clicks. It didn't click. I was in bed, there's nobody else in our home. He was halfway up the stairs, the light switch is up here. It just came on. And I just went, well, that's your nan telling you, so you better listen to her and put the light on. And he does always put the light on. But I really just felt like that was his nan saying, you know what, you are going to trip up these stairs one of these days. And it just felt really good to have like backup from somebody that he can't argue with. He's just got to get on with it. So I'm sure he's like, oh no, now I can't argue with the wife. But I think it's amazing. I really used to be petrified of spirit, and now I kind of embrace it. I'm not scared anymore because I know that my spirit guides are keeping me safe. I do meditations every day that keep me safe, and I've got things set up in the house to keep the house safe. And that's why I'd say, if you're interested in learning how to be a medium, or if you have any kind of spirit interactions, to definitely make sure that you look up grounding meditations. Make sure you've got a grounding cord down to the earth's core, and that you are surrounded in a bubble of rose and gold. It's so important because that will keep you safe. And you can also do things like set up golden pyramids above and below rooms, or above and below your house. And it probably sounds insane, but that's what you do. That's how psychics and mediums, etc., keep their homes safe and keep themselves safe from psychic attack. I will leave links down below to the wonderful Miss Kelliebean. Please go and give her a follow. Go and check out her channel. She does lovely storytime videos. The best lush hauls ever. And she also does really nice little talks and little videos about disabilities, and she just shows herself moving through the world as a woman with sight problems, but in a really lovely way. She just gets on with life, and she's such a happy person, and she makes me so happy when I watch her videos. I just love it. She's just such a really nice person. So definitely follow the links to her channel down below. Give her video a like, and say hi from me. She's lovely, so please go and support her, and support the fact that this is my first collab video. And if you're new here from Kelliebean's channel, hello, welcome. I hope you'll stick around and click that subscribe button. Ring that little bell so you always know when I upload. And I hope you enjoyed this. I also do videos about mediumship, and I'm going to do some more now. I'm actually on the mediumship level 1 course. I'm going to do a video about tarot soon. So definitely make sure you're subscribed. Like this video if you like this content. And I'll see you all next time. Bye!